Okay, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. But as you're moving along here, you're going to be faced with lots of different business issues that you may not be so familiar with. So I want to go through in several parts how to conquer these challenges, things you may not be aware of, and tools you can have in your kit bag and how to deal with them. I call them generally advisors of all sorts. So we're going to go through a few of these. So buckle up. The ride will be just fine. Here we go. The first one I think of is a business coach. Now this can take various forms, and this could be a person you don't pay consulting fees for or anything like that. These are individuals that have been through this goat rodeo before. They've been through the startup scene probably many times. So they have some wisdom now on what to do and what not to do. This is a person you can talk to when you're confronted with issues and can advise you and tell you best practices and tell you and suggest strongly even what you ought to be doing about certain issues you're facing. And they could be issues in marketing and sales, development, manufacturing, personnel management, and the list goes on. This is a person you can rely on for solid advice. They're more often than not right, and it's probably best for you to follow what their advice is. So that's a business coach. And it can be formal. You could have a contractual arrangement with business coaches. You can find them on LinkedIn and check out their firms and check them out personally. Or it could be very informal. If you're about and around town and you've met a lot of people and you've established a friendship with a person who is a business coach and they're willing to help you, it could be very informal as well. So those are the two extremes of how you engage with a business coach. But I advise you to do that, particularly if you're new at the startup world. I would say, really, you need one because you're going to be facing a lot of issues you're just not familiar with. They know how to handle them. The second is a lighter form of business coach. I call them mentors. It's kind of what I do with Entronaut. Mentors are rather formal. They're impartial. They don't have a horse in your race. They're not invested in your company. They know you, but they don't have a vested interest. They're not a part of your scene at all, but they're also, like business coaches, people with a lot of wisdom. And you rely on the mentor to not exactly tell you what to do, but they are impartial, but they suggest what you could do. Their role is to help you make decisions, help you think through it, and they're going to ask you lots of questions about why you're going to do what you're about to do. You ask for their advice. Well, the advice comes in the form of question, until the mentor thinks, well, he's thought it through, it's probably right, or they actually know it's right. And they support your decision. Mentors do not make decisions for you. They don't tell you what to do. They provide advice, guidance, referrals, listen to your arguments, listen to your analysis, give an opinion, but at the end of the day, they're going to ask you, well, what have you decided to do? That way, you own the decision, not the mentor, and you're accountable for it. That's the difference. Business coach is willing to put it all out there and actually tell you what to do, and they'll own it as well as you. As a mentor, they're going to be sure that you own the decision. That's the big difference between the two. Another form of advice and guidance is advisory boards. Advisory boards are interesting, and they take different forms. You could have a technology advisory board. If you've got a tech company and you need some mad scientists that are really number one or way up there anyway in their field of science, and having them on your board is going to give you solid advice on technology trends, technology viability, technology decisions. They'll help you think them through. So it could be a small group, 3 to 6 really, really well-known, well-respected technology people. That's one kind of advisory board. Another is a bunch of solid business people who have run substantial companies, who know the ropes and know a lot of people, and they know their industry and they're well connected, and they're going to join you for a couple of meetings a year and give you advice and guidance on the market and what's going on politically and what's going on in the regulatory world, whatever it is. that you need to know and be aware of, these people would give you advice on how to handle it. So there's a couple of examples of advisory boards. Now, you don't necessarily have to pay these people. You probably, though, want to give them a tiny sliver of stock in your company. Tiny sliver is less than 0.5%, maybe a quarter. And you ask them to accomplish certain things and being on your advisory board. So they're kind of accountable for giving good solid advice and maybe do some analysis on a particular problem and come back and give you a report. Nothing lengthy, not something that's going to cost them thousands of dollars of their time to actually do. Those are a couple of examples of advisory boards, and you'd be good to consider having them. If you're not well connected in the industry and you need much more focus than that, put one together. I think you'll thank yourself for it. More formal, though, and if you've taken investors in particular, they're going to want you to have a formal board of directors, a governing body, a group of, at least at the start, 5 people, 2 insiders, 2 outsiders, and 1 independent. That's the usual split. And these are people that are providing governance. I use that word specifically. They're not responsible for the operations of the company. They don't play an operational role in your company. They're there to approve your business strategy and to approve certain hiring events, particularly for top executives. They approve the salaries of top individuals of your company. All those things that are necessary for the structure of the company to be viable and its management team and its operations to be effective. They hire and fire the CEO, they hire and fire some other top executives of your company. So this is a very, very important role. These people are definitely going to have their expenses paid if they got to travel a long ways to get to you. They don't necessarily have to take a salary of some kind or a consulting fee. Unless you got someone that just insists on it and you really want them, you probably can get by for a year or 2 without doing that kind of thing. But a board of directors, more often than not, is going to be necessary. It's part of running a company. You, as the founder of the company, can become the chairman of the board, or you have one of them be the chairman of the board, but you're the CEO of the company, and you're the one probably running most of the meeting, if the chairman of the board isn't. Certainly, at the onset of having a company, you need an attorney, a corporate attorney, someone who really knows the ropes and can deal with the formation of the company and the issues of trademark and intellectual property law and disputes between companies and contracts, and the list goes on of stuff that you need to have an attorney do right for you. You want to make sure that your company is being run properly as a real company, with board of director minutes, with a proper capitalization table of your company, and the list goes on of stuff that they got to do for you to make sure that later on, when you sell your company or you're going to take on further investors later on, you'll pass due diligence and it can show them that you've got a real company that's run according to the law and according to proper governance through your board of directors. So that's an attorney. So why am I covering this? Well, you need ongoing advice. There's a lot to running a company, and you got to have the right people and the right relationships and utilize them to help you do the right things at the right time. In addition, I suggest you have a great day too.